look, there's a bit to
little bit
get through here, but I mean, as Michael Ware said on the program a little earlier, he said, I mean, it's a spectacular fall that most people predicted, but it's just become so entertaining.
Well, it's this really sort of funny thing here because, Pete, you've got this situation where it's like kind of this sort of high school Stacey's social media kind of fight here, but refracted through this really big kind of, vicious power politics. It's almost sort of like, a late Ottoman court kind of politics where behind the scenes all the viziers and sultans are stabbing each other in the back. It's really fascinating to see this spill out. It's not clear where this all lands. The really interesting thing here, there's a couple of interesting things here. Number one, this really personal fight actually starts from a legitimate philosophical difference between the two guys here. Trump, who was always a big guy, who always said, and Musk has been pointing it out, saying, Trump always said the budget needs to be balanced and all of this, and now this bill doesn't get you there. So it's just a real sort of perfect being the enemy of the good thing. Musk takes that more sort of libertarian view where you just need to cut everything now. Doge, we know, kind of got there, but kind of didn't. So that's the sort of the fight. But what's really interesting is how personal it's become. And I think part of that comes down to Donald Trump because Trump, does have a problem with keeping allies on side. And eventually these relationships that he gets in always wind up sort of blowing up. So that has driven it. But then for Musk to come around and throw stuff around, the Epstein files, I mean, my God. I mean, now, among other things, I think Trump has no choice but to release everything. You remember back in February, he handed some binders to some bloggers and stuff like that, but now he's got to release everything.
Is it defamatory, and could he sue? I mean,
well, look, I mean, they've both got pretty deep pockets. It'd be a pretty big judgment. So, I mean, and remember also, they got that old First Amendment there, which is a bit hard to get around.
Yeah, that is also true. I mean, but like you said, I mean, they are both very powerful, very rich. And they usually go, personal in the past. I mean, both have done that. Musk has done that. Trump has done that too.
Yeah.
I've just been speaking to some folks in the US as well, and they've been telling me, look, there's these drug-taking allegations that Musk has had to deal with recently, and also he kind of served his purpose, if there was a purpose to serve on Doge. And so that's why they're not that bothered about him now leaving the inner sanctum?
Well, look, I mean, everybody has known, and Musk himself has been pretty open, in some circumstances about, some of the drugs that he takes. Ketamine is one that he's said to take, and all sorts of psychedelics and things like that. Sort of rich tech guys taking those sorts of drugs. We know that sort of thing happens all the time. But there is also the thing, too, that the Doge contract, his Doge position, that was a 130-day thing. It was a 130-day, it's called a special government advisor, a special government employee, where you get that contract, you have to go through, the rigmarole of confirmation, all that. And Trump had Elon do that. He did it. That was over. But, I mean, again, though, the real thing here is this fight over this bill, because I do think that Musk, for all of his weirdness, actually does have a belief structure in a certain sort of way of doing things. That's why he spent all that money and lost money buying Twitter, now X, because, he thought that free speech was important. And now he's looking at the books of America as a businessman and saying, this is unsustainable. The national debt, Pete, in the U.S. increases now at a rate of about $1 trillion, $1 trillion with a T, every 180 days. So, at some point, that becomes unsustainable. You have to inflate the debt away. The dollar stops being the reserve currency. The United States stops being the greatest superpower on earth. Musk, I think, sees that. And because Trump couldn't go fast enough politically on that, I think that is actually, there's a legit philosophical fight here beneath all of the weirdness and all of the chaos.
That's interesting you say that on debt, $1 trillion. That's our total debt here.
Totally, yeah.
And that's theirs.
And that's in U.S. dollars. Incredible stuff.